Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging headfirst into, well, the really unpredictable, high-octane world of the UFC Lightweight Division. Our focus, an upcoming clash that promises absolutely explosive fireworks, Terrance McKinney versus Viacheslav Borshchev. So our mission for this deep dive is to really pull out the most crucial, the must-know insights from all the detailed fighter profiles and the recent fight analyses you've shared with us. We're going to unpack their unique styles, which are often kind of contrasting, pinpoint their undeniable strengths, and maybe more importantly, dissect their glaring weaknesses. And ultimately, we'll give you our most likely outcome prediction and maybe for those interested, some potential betting angles too. So strap in because we're about to go far beyond the headlines and really try to understand what's at stake when these two step into the octagon. All right, let's kick things off with the man they call T-Rex himself, Terrance McKinney. Your sources paint this vivid picture of a truly explosive, high-risk, high-reward kind of fighter. You look at his career, what just immediately leaks out? This is a defining thing.
Well, look, the most striking aspect of McKinney's profile, and honestly what makes him so compelling, is his just sheer finishing ability. He's got a 16-7-0A record, right? And every single one of those wins is a finish. It's actually an even split, 8 KOs and 8 submissions. But what truly sets him apart, what's genuinely fascinating here, is his average fight time. Just 2 minutes and 57 seconds. It's not just a stat. It's basically his whole strategy laid bare, tells you everything about his go-for-broke approach. He's not looking to go to decision, like, ever.
It certainly feels that way. You look at the numbers, and it's almost, well, unbelievable. 15 first-round finishes, 7 of those wins, under a minute, and 4 knockouts landed in 17 seconds or less. That's insane. This is the guy who knocked out Matt Frivola in, 7 seconds in his UFC debut. Blink and you miss it. And he's done that kind of thing twice. Someone said he doesn't get paid by the hour, which is kind of perfect. Almost funny way to sum it up. That makes him incredibly intriguing from a betting perspective, doesn't it? That sort of immediate, overwhelming power is just so rare.
It absolutely is, yeah. But this, hyper-aggressive style, it also raises this incredibly important question, and one that really defines almost every McKinney fight. What happens if he doesn't get that early finish? Because if we connect this to the bigger picture, the analysis consistently points to a huge vulnerability, a non-existent gas tank, and zero ability to fight effectively for even 2 full rounds, let alone all 3. This isn't just about getting tired. It's like a physiological cliff he falls off. Once fatigue sets in, he becomes so defensively compromised. He goes from this dangerous predator to kind of remarkably vulnerable prey in minutes. It's not just cardio. It's a fundamental exploitable weakness. Opponents know this. They know they can capitalize if they just survive that initial terrifying storm. And look, 5 of his 7 career races, they've come by knockout almost always after a blistering start where he just fades quickly and dramatically.
Oh, yeah, we've seen that play out so vividly. That loss to Drew Dober, right?
Right.
Comes right to mind. He absolutely crushed Dober in that opening minute. Looked like he was about to get another super fast finish.
Yeah, typical McKinney start.
Exactly. But Dober somehow survived that barrage. And then, just like you said, the whole dynamic flipped, and Dober finished him in the second. It really hammered home that analysis point. His fight IQ is extremely important at this level, and Terrance learned that the hard way. And remember, he got submitted by Nazim Sadikov in the second round, too, after completely dominating the first. Shows even his ground game can't save him if the cardio's gone. And his last loss, just a brutal head kick KO from Esteban Rubovitz in, 37 seconds? It seems like once the momentum shifts against him, man, it shifts hard.
Exactly. And while his, physical gifts aren't in question, the speed, the power, the explosiveness, they're all top tier. He really struggles when fights go past round 1 or when he's put in a controlled position. Think about his fight against Ismail Bonfim. He just seemed out of sorts when the fight dragged on a bit and then bang, knocked out by a flying knee. What's interesting, too, is his striking strategy. He's almost purely a headhunter, right? 85% of his significant strikes target the head. He fully commits to the KO. But his ground game is effective when he gets it there. 46% of his significant strikes land on the ground, and you can't ignore those 8 submission wins. He's even got standing rear naked chokes, shows he can finish from some really weird spots. But it always comes back to that early window. Can he get it done fast?
Okay, so if McKinney is this early round whirlwind, this force of nature for about 5 minutes, what about the other guy? Viacheslav Borshchev, Slavoclass, right? Your sources paint a picture of a phenomenal striker, a real technician on the feet, but, and it's a big but, one with a very specific, very glaring Achilles heel that people have exploited over and over.
Yeah.
What's his core identity in there?
Yeah, a crucial piece of Borshchev's story and what really defines his whole approach is his background. He's not just some guy who likes to strike. He's a professional kickboxer. And importantly, he's the lead striking coach at Team Alpha Male. That pedigree, it explains his exceptional technique, his 8-5-1 record. It's not perfect, sure, but it speaks to his toughness, his durability, his willingness to just bang it out until the final bell, as one source put it. He's got 6 wins by KO, showing he has legitimate fight-ending power, especially with that strong piston-like jab, his solid power hand, and his really fantastic thudding kicks, legs, body. He mixes it up well. He really understands striking.
And he's not just about power. He throws volume too, right? An impressive 5.25 significant strikes landed per minute and a solid 54% striking accuracy. That's busy. And those leg kicks you mentioned, they could be a real X factor here, especially against someone like McKinney who doesn't seem to check kicks much or target the legs himself. We even saw some defensive smarts in his UFC debut against Dakota Bush, remember? He got taken down early, but he got back up. And then he went on to win with that vicious body shot. Plus, let's not forget his recent draw against Nazim Sadykhov. He battled back really impressively after getting rocked hard. Shows he can take a shot and keep coming. He's tough on the feet.
Yes, his striking is undeniably sharp, very technical, and his resilience is definitely a factor. Can't count him out on the feet. However, and this is the big however, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Borshchev's glaring, undeniable vulnerability is his takedown defense. It's truly like a statistical black hole in the modern UFC. He has a critically low 43% takedown defense rate. And get this, he's been taken down over 30 times in just 8 UFC fights.
Yeah.
That's a lot, way.
It's genuinely shocking, as the source said, to see a Team Alpha Male product struggle to defend a takedown to this extent, especially from that camp, They usually produce well-rounded guys.
Yeah.
This isn't just a small weakness. It's a massive gaping hole that opponents have just repeatedly driven a truck through successfully.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been the story of his losses, pretty much. We've seen opponents just consistently, sometimes brutally, exploit this exact thing. Those losses to Mark Diakis and Mike Davis, he spent almost the entire fight just stuck on his back. Davis, I think, landed 9 of 11 takedowns.
Something like that, yeah.
And controlled him for over 8 minutes. Completely neutralized him.
Exactly. Took away Borshchev's best weapon.
Yeah.
And even in that more recent loss to Tom Nolan, okay, he stuffed 7 of 8 takedowns, which sounds like an improvement.
On paper, yeah.
But the source also noted that the harder blows on the feet most definitely came from the other side, which is really concerning for someone who's supposed to be the pure stand-up specialist.
Oh, right. And you got to ask about that Nolan fight context. Was that real improvement by Borshchev? Or was it just that Nolan isn't exactly Khabib when it comes to wrestling?
Good point. Can he stuff a truly committed wrestler like McKinney might be? Or just, fend off a half-hearted attempt?
That's the million-dollar question for his defense.
And then there was the Chase Hooper fight, where he was just dominated from bell to bell and got submitted. That really highlights the danger once he is on his back. It's not just about stopping the takedown. So here we are, 2 lightweights, incredibly clear, almost perfectly opposite strengths and equally glaring weaknesses. McKinney, the early finish machine. Terrifying for maybe 5 minutes, questionable gas tank, but actually decent ground offense from top. Borshchev, the technical, high-volume striker, durable on the feet, but with that notoriously leaky takedown defense. This really sets up a fascinating clash. A sprint versus a marathon, maybe?
It really does, and it raises that one crucial question for the entire fight, doesn't it? It just boils down to this fundamental clash.
Yeah.
Can Borshchev, the striker with the grappling Achilles heel, can he possibly survive McKinney's initial overwhelming onslaught, especially the takedown attempts? Or is McKinney going to successfully capitalize on that well-documented grappling issue and just get an early finish? It feels like the fight's trajectory hinges entirely on that.
Yeah, from McKinney's side, the strategy seems almost painfully obvious, right? Go for the finish and go for it fast. Like round 1 or bust. He knows his window is short, so he'll likely come out absolutely blazing, looking for that explosive KO right from the opening bell. If a knockout doesn't land clean, or if Borshchev shows even a hint of being hurt or backing up, you can bet McKinney's going to shoot for a quick takedown. And once he gets it to the mat, we know he's dangerous from top position. That ground and pound, those opportunistic subs we talked about, where, 46% of his significant strikes land? He won't waste any time if he gets top control.
Precisely. And for Borshchev, the primary goal, maybe the only goal that matters initially, has got to be survival in that first round. He has to weather the storm. That means using every bit of his defensive striking, which is decent, 57% defense, and his footwork to just evade McKinney's big power shots, stay safe. But maybe even more critically, he needs to use those fantastic leg kicks he has. You mentioned it earlier, McKinney doesn't really target the legs, and his defense there might be suspect. Chopping at McKinney's lead leg, even subtly, could slow him down, make that gas tank drain even faster, maybe compromise his explosive movement as the round wears on. If Borshchev can defend the takedowns, use those kicks, stay safe, and just drag McKinney into the second round, ideally the third, the whole fight changes completely. It flips 180 degrees in his favor. At that point, McKinney becomes a totally different, much more hittable, much more vulnerable fighter.
It really does sound like a high-stakes race against the clock for McKinney, doesn't it? And an equally high-stakes test of, well, patience, defense, and especially that takedown defense for Borshchev. Every single minute, maybe every second of that first round is just going to be absolutely critical. All right, so after digging through all this, analyzing both guys, weighing the strengths against the weaknesses, considering their recent fights, what's your most likely outcome for this really fascinating matchup between Terrance McKinney and Viacheslav Borshchev, and what's the path to that outcome?
Well, when we connect all these different threads, look at the bigger picture, the answer seems pretty clear, unfortunately for one side. That statistical anomaly of Borshchev's takedown defense, I mean, over 30 takedowns absorbed in just 8 UFC fights. It just looms incredibly large here. It's impossible to ignore. Then you put that up against McKinney's dual threat, his legendary early KO power, and his very effective ground game when he gets top position, shown by those 8 submissions. McKinney has proven he can get takedowns when he really commits to them. And once he's on the ground early in a fight, he is absolutely devastating. And yeah, while Borshchev showed some TDD improvement against Nolan, we have to remember the context there. Nolan isn't known for his wrestling. Against a high-level, truly committed grappler like McKinney probably will be early on, it's a completely different challenge. I just don't see Borshchev consistently stopping him.
So you're pretty confidently leaning towards an early night for T-Rex. It almost feels inevitable, given the huge statistical mismatch in the grappling department.
Yes, absolutely. My prediction is McKinney via early TKO or submission. The combination of McKinney's explosive first-round finishing ability, which is just undeniable, and Borshchev's well-documented long-standing problems with takedown defense, it's just too significant a mismatch to bet against, I think. McKinney has multiple ways to win early, and they all target Borshchev's biggest vulnerability. He can punch him out, or he can take him down and finish him there.
Okay, so for those folks listening, maybe looking at some potential betting angles for this fight, based on our deep dive here, what stands out? What looks like the most valuable or maybe high probability plays? Where should you maybe look for the best returns?
Right. Given everything we've just laid out about McKinney's history and Borshchev's weaknesses, I'd strongly consider these angles. They seem to have a really good probability. First, McKinney by KO, TKO, or submission. Historically, he finishes about 50-50 between those two methods, right? And both play directly into Borshchev's weak spots, getting hit hard early or getting taken down and controlled subbed. This prop covers both likely finish methods.
Makes sense. Covers the bases.
Second, McKinney in round 1. I mean, with 15 first-round finishes, this isn't just a tendency, it's almost a defining characteristic of his wins. If he wins, it's overwhelmingly likely to be in that first 5 minutes.
Yeah, the stats don't lie there.
And third, maybe the safest overall play if you just want action on the fight ending early. Fight to go, under 1.5 rounds. McKinney's average fight time is under 3 minutes. It's incredibly low. Whether he wins fast or, frankly, gets caught himself sometimes, his fights rarely see the judges, let alone the middle of the second round. So the under 1.5 rounds bet has a high probability regardless of who actually wins. You're essentially betting on the pure volatility that Terrance McKinney brings to the cage.
Wow. What a truly fascinating clash of styles this is shaping up to be. It really highlights how fast a fight can turn, doesn't it? And how critical those first few moments are when you have such polar opposite strengths and weaknesses colliding like this. The game planning must be intense.
Oh, absolutely. It's a perfect example of how crucial the first few minutes are, especially down at lightweight, where everyone has power. One big shot, one well-timed takedown can just completely rewrite the script of the fight. It's often not just about who's the better overall fighter, but who can impose their A-game first and for how long.
So thinking about this fight and kind of the high-stakes gamble each guy is taking with their respective styles, what aspect of fighter performance do you value most in matchups like this? Is it the immediate, overwhelming, maybe fight-ending power and that early aggression, or is it more about the enduring toughness, the ability to take damage, adapt, and maybe win later? It's kind of that age-old question in fighting, isn't it? Something to think about.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay well informed and enjoy the fights.